sister. I'm 12 years old and I'm from Des Moines County, and my club is Town and Country Kids, and I hope everyone is having a good day. My presentation is on how to make a disappearing 9-patch quilt, and I used this pattern to make a quilt for my 4-H club, county fair, and that's the quilt down there. And it was considered for state fair, but however it did not get chosen to go. First of all, you want to start out with 9 fabrics, and I went to a friend's house, a family friend, and she has cupboards and cupboards of fabric, and so she let me choose any fabrics that I wanted, as long as there was 9 different ones. And I chose these colors because they are cool colors and they go well with my room. So you start out with 9 different blocks of fabric cut into 6-inch squares. Then you sew the 3 together, face down like this, and you sew them along the edge. And then you do that 3 times, and then you sew them together for the rest of them. And then when you're done with that, you cut them in half, vertically and horizontally, and you arrange it the way that you want. The pattern calls to have 2 that were in the center, as the center over here, and 2 on the outside. When they are cut, you want to sew them together, and then that's one big block. After doing about, I used 20 of these blocks to make my quilt, and it just kind of depends on how many that you use or the size of your quilt. It could be a king, it could be a queen, it could be a twin like mine, or it could be just a lap quilt. Then, as soon as you have all of these blocks done, I sewed mine all together of 5 rows of 4, and then I made a border, a 2-inch border out of the purple border, and it was the first border around. Then once you are done with that border, you want to I took all the blocks that I had left over that were the same, and I sewed them all together as a big strip, and I sewed those 4 strips together to make one big border as the second border. When that was done, I took the blue shiny fabric and I used that as an outside border. As soon as that was done, then we went on and you chose batting, which is this right here. And as soon as you had that picked out, I picked up backing, and I chose a white backing. And then when it was all ready, and I had it all cut to the size a little bit bigger than the front of the quilt top, I put it together. I layered it, and I placed it inside of the quilter, and then I quilted, and my friend's husband helped me quilt it, and we just did meandering, and what you do is you just kind of go around, but make sure that it is not too tight, it is not too loose. What I mean by not too tight and not too loose is that when you stitch it, that it's not too spaced. You should never be able to have the size of your fist be able to fit in that area. And you don't want it too tight, otherwise feel really hard. I feel like kind of like this board. It would feel very stiff. And as soon as it was done being quilted, I chose binding. And for binding, I chose Blue Shiny because I didn't think that really anything else would exactly look okay with the shiny blue since it was the last border. So I chose the blue binding, which is right here. And it was 2 inches thick. And what you do is you, once you sew it on the front or the back, then you flip it over and tuck the outer edge, and then you sew that side on again. But before you did that, I made a label, but you don't have to make a label. But my friend says you should always have a label on your quilt, so it makes it more important. And so it's a memory. And so that's what I decided to do. And it says made by Catie in 2012. And I chose flowers to go with it. And I sewed this with an embroidery machine. Once this was done, the label, and I sewed it on the backing, I finally was able to sew the binding on. And when you sew the binding and you come to an edge, you want to make sure that you fold it so it looks like a neat finished edge. So, first step is to cut 9 different fabrics or colors. Step 2 is to sew the squares together with the same center, which was this, all the way through. And then step 3 is to cut each block in half vertically and horizontally, just like that, vertically and horizontally. And then step 4 is to sew the block together with the 4 center blocks. So then there's 2 on the inside, and then there's 2 on the outside, just like that. And then step 5 is to sew the blocks together into rows, then sew the rows to make the quilt top. And what I mean by rows is all of these big blocks sewn together. And then step 6 is to cut and sew the 3 borders. Like any size, to any size that you would prefer. And then step 7 is to choose batting, backing, and binding. And then step 8 is to layer your quilt top, batting, backing, and then you put it in the quilter and you quilt it. Then step 9 is to sew the binding to the quilt top, flip it over, and sew the other side onto the backing. And then step 10 is to enjoy your quilt. When I made the quilt, I used a quilt wall that my friends had because my friend is a big quilter. She makes, I don't know how many quilts a year. But what you take is your batting, which hers is different than that. And she took it and quilted it onto backing. She didn't have a quilt top, just the batting and backing. And then she made it so you put PVC pipes in between and it stands up against a wall so you can never like lose where you are. So because you wouldn't want to sew these that way and then these to be flipped. This is my miniature little quilt wall. It is made out of backing. There's batting. It does not have backing, it has batting. Is there any questions? Yes? once it's like that and it's sewn together, if you have several of them, then it is disappearing and you cannot see how it's one big block. And would someone like to come up and help me hold up my quilt so everyone can see? And so if you look at it very carefully, you can see how right here it is one block, right here. And right here. Any other questions? How long did it take me to make it? It took me 4 days, but that's because I only worked maybe 4 hours a day. So it took me 4 days.